Hi everyone, so in today's video I am focusing on trees, all sorts of different trees that you can make, whether that's with Dollar Tree products or from some scrap wood that you have lying around your home. I wanted this video to have several different options in it for you, so no matter what you had or materials you had, you could make one of these projects. If you guys are new, hey, my name's Liz. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you guys are notified for all of my future DIYs. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the projects. So for this first DIY, these are little trees that you can get from the Dollar Tree. They have stakes on them for your yard, and I thought they were such a cute shape, so I decided to pick some of these up, and I'm going to go ahead and remove all the glitter using a heavy grit sandpaper. I'm going to remove that stake, and I'm going to take these beads that I got off of Amazon, and I'm going to start cutting them in half. I have seen so many pieces where beads are outlining the trees, especially at Hobby Lobby. I've seen several trees like that, so I decided to make one on my own. So I'm just taking my miter shears and cutting these right in half. They cut super easy. I hardly had to apply any pressure at all. And then I'm just going to begin hot gluing them around my tree, just outlining it. Took a little bit of time, but it wasn't hard to do at all. I just had my hot glue gun and I just basically outlined the entire tree. And then I decided to paint this white. So one thing I would mention is it's probably a lot easier if you paint this white before you put the beads on, and then you're not having to try to get into all the little crevices of each little tiny bead to try to cover up that green. So don't follow what I'm doing. Follow what I'm saying. Paint the tree white first, at least one coat, and then put your beads on after that. And then I took my Waverly chalk paint in Truffle and I painted the star and the stem in that color. And then I went through and slightly distressed the beads, dry brushed them with that same Truffle paint. I love the way it makes the beads pop off of the tree. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. And then I'm taking some of these tumbling tower blocks that you can get from the Dollar Tree and I'm making a little stand with them. So I am just hot gluing two together in a set of two, painting that with my Waverly chalk paint in Truffle just to match the trunk of the tree. And I am just hot gluing one set on the front and one set on the back. Like I said, it just makes a cute little stand so that your tree can stand up right. After I've done that, I'm going to take my steel chalk paint from Waverly and I'm taking these two little bells that I got in a pack from the Dollar Tree and I am just kind of dabbing this on there. I wanted the shininess of the bells to go down, make them look a little bit more rustic. And I'm going to take some twine and make myself a little bow. I just take this around 2 fingers, loop it around about 4 times, tie a knot with some jute in the middle, and that's it. It's so easy to make little twine bows like this, and I think they are so cute. After I get that all tied, I'm going to take my little bells and I'm going to string them onto some of the tails that were on the bow, and I'm going to hang one a little bit lower and then the other one a little bit higher so that they fell at different lengths. And then I'm just going to hot glue that right to the tree. And I thought this was so stinking cute, especially with the long tails of the bow and the little bells. I absolutely love how this project turned out. For this next project, I took this little tree that you can get from the Target dollar spot with some of their other little wood cutouts, trees. I believe they had stockings, some really cute things for only $1. I'm going to take my wire that I got from Walmart and I'm going to string some of these beads on there. I did do a similar project with a little red truck. I will link that video above and below, and I loved the little red truck ornament so much that I had to make one with a tree as well. I just took my beads on the wire and I twisted them together, and then I'm going to take some twine, tie a knot at the end, and hot glue that down to the back of the tree. I'm going to tie another knot at the top of the twine, and I'm going to hot glue that down to where the wire meets in the middle of the ornament. And then I'm going to take some of this ribbon that I got from Joann's. I absolutely love this stuff. I definitely need to go pick myself up some more. And I'm just tying myself a little bow, and I'm going to hot glue that right down at the top. And that's it for this cute little ornament. I absolutely love the natural wood beads, and I'm definitely wanting to incorporate those into my Christmas decor. So I love the way that this DIY turned out. So for this next one, I'm taking these woodcraft cubes that you can get from the Dollar Tree. Now, I was kind of just winging it when I did this, and I wasn't sure exactly how this was going to turn out, but I thought this turned out so cute. And I also thought that this would be really fun to make with kids or grandkids, just something fun that they can paint and glue together. And I definitely think I'm going to try this with my two girls. I think that they would have so much fun. And then you could write their names and the year on the back of them. I just think that this would be such a fun little craft to do with your kids and grandkids. So I'm just taking those wood cubes and I am going to start assembling them into the shape of a tree. I started with 5 on the bottom, then 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. You can kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here, just assembling it into the shape of a tree. After I've got it all assembled, I am going to paint it in my Waverly chalk paint in white. I'm going to cover the entire thing in that paint. And then I also take one more cube and paint it white and stick it right in the middle of the bottom of the tree so that it makes a little stem. And then I'm going to take a nail file. One of my sweet subscribers mentioned this trick to distress, especially right here. Sandpaper would have been pretty difficult to distress in those little corners, so the nail file definitely worked really, really well. So I'm taking some twine and I'm hot gluing it to the back of the stem, and then I'm going to wrap the twine around the stem, and then I start wrapping it around the tree itself, just in a couple cross patterns. It really doesn't have to be in this kind of pattern. You can do it in basically any kind of pattern that you want. Just wrap it around that tree and then hot glue it to the back. And then I'm going to take, again, one of these little wood cutouts that I got from the Target dollar spot. This is in a little wreath, and I just stuck this right on top. I took that same ribbon that I used in the previous project, tied it into a little loop, and then hot glued it down to the very top. And this is how my little cube tree ornament turned out. So for this next project, I'm going to take one of these little house signs that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I just tore it apart, basically just removing the back. And then I'm going to take some of this scrapbook paper that I got from Hobby Lobby. I got this entire pack from there and I thought it was so cute. So I am just taking this basically stripe pattern. I'm not sure exactly what this pattern is called, but it is so pretty. So I wanted to use that for the back. I just traced out the back of that little house, cut it out, and then I'm going to take some glue stick and glue that down. You could use Mod Podge if you want, but I find that glue stick, Mod Podge, they both work just about the same. So I'm just going to lay that paper down on there and smooth it all out. While that is setting up, I took 2 of those cubes, again from the previous project. I painted them white, and then I'm taking this string that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I chose the red and white pattern, and I'm going to tie this around the blocks. Now you can tie them any way you want, but I just tied them like a traditional present, basically going over one side, twisting it around, and going over the other side, if that makes any sense. It's probably a lot harder to explain than to just see me do it, but I just tied it around the presents and then tied a little bow on top. Now this project isn't necessarily a how to make a tree, but I thought that this sign turned out so cute that I had to incorporate it in this video. It has a little tree in it, so you know that counts, right? And I'm just taking my glue stick again, going around the edges of the house, and then I took a little bit of hot glue just in some corners to make sure that it all holds down. And then I'm going to take one of these trees that I got from Hobby Lobby. You can also get these from the Dollar Tree. You can basically get them in any craft store, and I'm going to trim off the back so that the tree will lay flush against the sign, and I'm going to hot glue that in place. And then I'm going to take those presents and I'm also going to hot glue them to the bottom of the frame. I'm going to take this decal that I cut out, and I thought this was so stinking cute. I made a little snowflake and it had the holly berries on it, and then it had the saying, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." I thought this was so stinking cute to put on here, so I'm just going to put this on some transfer tape and stick it right onto my sign. It also helped that the sign had stripes, so it was easy to make sure that I was getting the saying straight. And remember, if you're ever interested in any of my decals that I use in my videos, I do sell them. All you have to do is go to my Facebook or my Instagram and shoot me a message. I also will have them listed in my Facebook shop on my Facebook page. If you're interested in purchasing them directly from there, I should have those up within the next couple of days. So then I'm going to take this ribbon that I got from Walmart. I love this because it does have some wire in it, so it's really easy to manipulate. And I'm going to tie this into a bow. I'm going to basically just take a piece and make a little loop, and I hot glue that together so it is just a solid little loop. And then I cut off the tails as well, and I wanted these tails really long, and because the ribbon has a right side and a wrong side, I just take the tails and kind of loop them together so that both right sides are showing. And then I'm gonna take some twine and I'm going to tie the little bow portion and the tails together with that twine. I'm also going to use the twine to wrap around the bow and the tails a couple of times just so it has a little thicker middle of twine, and then I'm going to let that twine hang down as well. I'm not going to cut off the little tails of it. I wanted those to be included in the bow itself. I'm going to twist the ends of the tail so it's in a little cute twisted pattern like you can see here, and I'm just going to hot glue those down. And this is the way that my cute little tree and present sign turned out. And for this next project, you are going to take some white poster that you can get from the Dollar Tree. You can get them for 50 cents a piece, and you are going to make a little cone. I have seen these little trees at all the stores. I've seen other people do DIYs, and I wanted to make my own because I thought they were so stinking cute. So you're just going to make yourself a little cone. You're going to cut the bottom so that it sits flat. Now I got this jute rope from Joann's, but you can get this from the Dollar Tree as well. They come, I believe, in a 9-foot roll. And I'm going to hot glue it all the way around the bottom of the cone, and then I'm going to start wrapping it around the cone itself. You don't have to hot glue the entire thing. You can do a little hot glue and then start wrapping, and then a little hot glue and then wrapping, and it gets easier to do that as you go. And I just wrapped this around the entire cone. When I got to the top, I basically just kept wrapping it around, stuck some hot glue down in that middle, and then just pushed the rope down into the middle. After I'm done that, I'm going to take these little berries that you can get from Hobby Lobby. I know they also have some at Walmart, but I love these because they were sparkly. And I'm just going to wrap that around my tree and hot glue that in place. And then I'm going to take some more ribbon that I got from Walmart. This is the same ribbon as the previous project, but just in a different color. And I'm going to make the exact same bow that I made in that other project, just taking a piece and making it into a loop, and then making my tails and then tying it around with some twine. And I am going to hot glue that to the top of my tree. And that is how my little cone poster board tree turned out. Now for this next project, this is some scrap wood that I had in my garage. These are 1x2s. I will have all the measurements of what you need down in the description box below. I love the way that this scrap tree looks. I have made another scrap tree in a previous DIY. I will link that in the cards above, but I wanted this herringbone pattern tree. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. So my husband and I cut these out and assembled them, and I am going to stain them in the Craftsmart Barnwood stain in gray. This is a water-based stain, so it dries really quickly and it does not smell either. And the nice thing is you can get an 8-foot piece of 1x2 from Lowe's or Home Depot for less than $2, and you can make so many different DIYs with it. So I then began assembling my tree with some clear Gorilla Glue and some hot glue so that I could get that long-term, short-term hold. And I just went on either side of each piece. I made sure to have it already set up the way that I wanted it, so I knew which piece went where. And then we took it out to the garage and we cut off the bottom so that it had a flat bottom. You could leave it the way that it was, but I prefer the flat edge on that. And then I took a couple more pieces of wood and to use for the base for my tree to stand up and for the trunk of the tree. And I just painted both of these in my stain. Now this base part of wood is a little bit of a different color, so it didn't take the stain like the other pieces, but that's okay because I am going to go over them with my white chalk paint. So I wanted this tree to be, the majority of it to be white and then to have that stain peeking through. So I just went through in the direction of each piece of wood and I just went over it with my Waverly chalk paint in white. You can see here what I'm doing probably better than I'm explaining it, but I'm just going over it in a heavier dry brush technique, I would say. I'm going through all the pieces. I did go over the trunk of the tree as well, but I didn't do it as heavily as I did the other pieces. And then I'm going to take some twine and I'm going to start wrapping that around the trunk of the tree. I did want this tree to be more plain than any of my other trees. I loved the rustic simplicity of it. So I thought that by adding the twine to the trunk would just give it a little bit something extra without going too overboard. And I just wrapped it around in any kind of random direction. There really wasn't any way to it. I basically just wrapped it all around. I hot glued that to the tree and then I hot glued it down to the base of the tree as well. And that is how my little scrap wood tree turned out. Now for this next DIY, these are two trees that came from Target Dollar Spot. They were $1 each and I thought that they were so cute, but I wasn't too fond of the green buffalo check plaid color on there, so I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint and lacquer and I mixed it with some of the truffle chalk paint, and then I'm going to take my Waverly truffle chalk paint and I am going to paint the bases of those trees. And then after that I'm going to take my white chalk paint and I'm going to go over all the edges of the tree just to basically outline it, give it a little bit more dimension, and it almost looked like the tree had snow on it, so I thought this was super cute. After I'm done with that, I'm going to take some twine and I'm going to hot glue it to the back of the trunk of the tree and I'm just going to wrap that around the trunk. I am going to tie a little bow. I wrapped it probably around 3 times. And I'm just going to make the same bow that I've made in the previous projects, looping it around my fingers and then tying a knot in the middle. I wanted the tails on my bow to be long, so I made sure to leave enough twine so that I could have those long tails. And then I took 3 beads on an excess piece of twine and I just tied a knot at the bottom and tied a knot at the top. And I'm going to hot glue my bow down and then I'm going to hot glue my beads down right below the bow so it kind of looks like the beads are hanging off the bow. And I'm going to do these for both trees. This is how the little tree turned out and I think these are so cute. That's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed all of these different trees. I'm having a lot of fun making my videos themed with a particular product or a particular, theme. And if you guys enjoy that, let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know which was your favorite tree. Go ahead and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed my tree DIYs, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!